Hi guys, welcome to lecture of delegates in C# from DotNetSkoool. Now, delegates in C# is a very important concept regarding your interviews, regarding your concept building, regarding your usage. So if you are programming in C#, you will be using delegates extensively in your application. Also, this is also very common question to understand that whether you are sound in your C# concepts. Most interviewers ask you that what do you mean by delegate? So let's try to understand what are delegates in C#. Now remember, in this lecture I will merely explain you the concept of delegates, that what does delegates do in C#, and I will explain you the usage of delegates in my next lecture. So it is very important for you to understand the concept first, because this is a very important concept and you need to understand that why do we need delegates in C#. So let's look into the points which are mentioned in the slides. So what are delegates? A delegate is an object that knows how to call a method. A delegate is a reference type. Instead of referring to an object, a delegate refers to a method, and this is called encapsulating the method. So what do I mean by these points? What I mean is that you can simply term delegate as a function pointer or a method pointer. So first you need to understand the word delegate. What does the word delegate means in the English terms? Say suppose you are watching TV and you need to change the channel and you are very far away from your remote. So you will ask your brother or sister to change the channel for you, right? So you are delegating the work, your work, to change the channel to your brother or sister. So this is what actually is meant by delegate. Same concept goes in C# too. So delegate is something which calls a method, right? Instead of a class calling a method or some other method calling a method, a delegate does this calling for you, or in other words, delegate points to a method. So instead of elaborating on these points, let's first create an example and then let's create a delegate to call a method, and then we will go through all these points one by one. So let's move to Visual Studio. So here I have a very simple class called as program, and this class has two methods. One is square method and one is main method. So main method is the entry point of this class. Now what does this square method do? This takes an integer, right, and then it returns a integer. And what does it return? It returns a square of a number. Okay, so this is a method we need to consume in our program class. So now let's try to use this method without delegates. Okay, so let's prompt the user first to enter a number. So let me write, please enter a number. Okay, so the console will prompt the user, and then I will capture that entry into a type of variable integer. Okay, and how will I capture it? By using console.readLine. So whatever be the entry of the user, that will be captured into the integer I, and you can see the red squiggly. It says that you cannot convert type of string to integer. That's because console.readLine returns a string. So let me try to convert this into integer. So let me have int dot pass, and then let's convert it into integer and storing this variable into integer I. Okay, so whatever I am entering, it will be stored in integer I variable. So I have got my entry recorded. Now I need to call the square method, and I need to use direct the class name. That's because it's a static method. So program.square, and what does it square takes? It takes a integer of type x. So I will pass my I variable into it, right, and it will return a value. So I will store that value into another variable called as integer j. Okay, and then I will write the output to the console. So I will have console.writeLine j, and then I will have simple console.read to stop the console. So a very simple program using this square function. Let's try to run this. So it's asking me to enter a number. Let's enter 25. It gives me 625. Or say, let's do it again. Let's enter 10. It should give me 100 and it gives me so. So it's my program is working fine. Okay. So as I have told you, a delegate is used to point to a function or method. So let's use a delegate and then call this function. For now, we are calling this function directly with the help of this class name. Okay. So there is high amount of coupling in here, right? I need to use the class name or the class as object's name to call this method. We can also call this with the help of a delegate. And remember, this lecture is just for you to understand the concept of delegates. Why do we need delegates? That I will explain you in my next lecture. So let's try to make a delegate and then call this function. Now before that, we should visit our slides for a point, and you can see the last second point. It says a delegate signature should always match to the method signature it is referring to. So this is a very important point. If you want to make a delegate, then you need to match its signature to the method that it will be pointing. Okay. Also, you can see the point above that we can create a delegate with delegate keyword followed by a return type and the signature of methods that can be delegated to it. So let's try to have these points into action. So let me create a delegate with the help of delegate keyword. Okay. So delegate int, that's the return type of my delegate, and let's name this delegate as transformer. Okay. And here it goes. I have created a delegate. Now you can see delegate signature is very similar to my method. Okay, just it has a delegate keyword added before it. So if you put a delegate keyword before a method's name, it will become a delegate, but it will not have the body like a method. Okay. Also, you can see it's the signature of square function is matching with my delegate, right? It returns a integer, my delegate 2 returns a integer. It takes a integer, my delegates 2 takes a integer. So this delegate can point to this square function. Okay, or it can also point to any method that returns an integer and takes an integer. Now delegate is a reference type, right? So what can we do to access reference types? We need to create a reference for it. So first we need to create a reference for my delegate. So let me comment out or remove this one, and now I need to create a reference for my delegate. So I will have transformer t. Okay, so I have created the reference for my delegate. Then I need to point this reference to my method. So I need to invoke my square function. So I will point it to my square function. Okay, and then I need to invoke the delegate. So I will have t dot invoke, and then I will pass my integer variable into it. Okay, the variable that I am capturing in here, and it will return something. So I will capture it in the integer variable j. Okay, and then it will write the value of j onto the console, and then it will have console.read. Okay, so I am not using the program class directly to invoke this square function. I am using a delegate to do so. So my delegate is invoking my square function. Now let's try to run this program. So it asks me to enter a number. Let's enter 20. The result should be 400, and it gives me result as 400. So this is working as it was working before. Okay, the only difference is that we are using delegate to invoke this square function. Let's move back to our slides, and you can see the third and fourth point have been validated in my demo. So we can create a delegate with delegate keyword, and return time and signature should be there with that delegate, and that signature should match with that delegate and the method that it's pointing. So same goes here. I've created it with the help of delegate keyword, and the signature is matching with my square function. Also, after creating the instance, we should point that instance to the method that which we want to call. So this is what we are doing in here. we are pointing this delegate instance to the method that we want to invoke. In this case, we are invoking square function. We should then invoke the delegate by dot invoke or directly. So we are then invoking this delegate in here with the help of t dot invoke. Now what do I mean by invoking it directly is that I can directly point it to the square function in here. Okay, and then instead of having these two lines, I can have directly pass the variable into the delegate instance and store it in a variable called j. Okay, let's try to run this. Please enter a number, say 10, it gives me 100. So instead of doing it step by step, say creating the instance, then pointing to the method and then invoking it, we are doing directly in these two lines. Okay, so this is the concept of delegates. We are, instead of directly calling this square function, we are using a delegate to do so. Now there might be a big question coming to your mind that why do we have used delegate to invoke such a simple function, right? So this is what I will try to explain you in my next lecture. So in very simple words, delegates helps you to achieve decoupling, or it helps us you to achieve the decoupling of your classes. Okay, so if you're working in big projects like insurance projects or banking projects, etc., you will need to have uh, you will need to use delegates more and more in your classes, right? It helps you to design flexible classes. Also, delegates concept takes some time to get used to, but once you get used to it, it's a very powerful and very interesting concept. Let's move back to our slides. All these points we have seen one by one. So what are delegates? Delegates are simple function pointers, and these delegates helps us to achieve the flexibility in our classes or decoupling the methods with classes. And where to use delegates, that I will explain you in my next lecture. So thank you so much guys for listening. If you have any doubt, please leave a comment under this video. Also please do like and share this video to your friends, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so very much.